Hello, my outstanding scholars. You're welcome to today's class. In this lesson, you will be learning about sprites in action. And by the end of this lesson, you will be able to create animation, interactive animation using event. And you also will be able to develop programs that respond to time events and user input. Now let's look at a few vocabularies we are going to be learning in this lesson. A few vocabularies that are going to guide us while we study through this lesson. And the first is event. What is an event? Event is an action that causes something to happen. An event is an action that causes something to happen. Now let's quickly take a look at the importance of events. Let's see some of the importance of events. Firstly, we have events make it easy to change what happens over time as your program runs. Events make it possible to create programs that are interactive. Now this means with the help of events, you can cause your sprite or make your sprite to perform a different action at the end of a particular time. Your sprite begins a new action at the end of a given time. An event makes it possible for you to create programs that are interactive. Your sprite can interact with each other using the help of events. Now the next here is what? Algorithm. What is algorithm? Algorithm is a list of steps to complete a task. You can as well say algorithm, a list of steps taken to complete a task. Now quickly we are going to take a look or listen to an overview of the lesson before we head over to the code studio.
Now that you've learned how to use Sprite Lab, you're going to want to make your program react when someone plays with it. To do that, you're going to use events. An event tells your program to listen for something to happen and then react right away. Some examples of events are listening for a mouse click, an arrow button, or a tap on the screen. Blocks like when key pressed and at seconds are called event blocks. The code connected to an event block runs when the appropriate action is detected. For example, here's a program I started with a wobbling sprite. If I attach another sprite begins block to the at seconds event, my sprite can begin a new behavior after a certain number of seconds have passed. I can also use actions like the change block with events like the when up arrow pressed block. Now, each time the user presses their up arrow, my sprite gets bigger. Notice that event blocks don't snap into your main program. Instead, they create little programs of their own. Remember that behaviors go until you tell them to stop. If you don't want multiple events to combine behaviors, you'll need to use one of the stops blocks. Other events you'll learn will let you make different things happen when two sprites touch on the screen, or when the user clicks a sprite. Using events, you can create imaginative programs and interactive worlds. Give it a try.
You're welcome back. In this lesson, you will be learning how to move and control your sprite, and other ways to trigger actions and behavior. Let's dive in. Now, as you can see, this is a prediction level, level 1. First of all, look at the options. It says read the code, then make a prediction. A says the sprite will just spin right. B says the sprite will just move east. C says the sprite will spin and move at the same time. Now, looking at the codes that have been created below in the workspace area, study the codes, then you will certainly get the right option to pick, which explains what the code already depicts. Now, in the code, you can see we have sprite begins, and look at the behavior. Sprite begins spinning right. And the other one also says sprite begins spinning east. Now, this tells us that sprite is going to keep moving. So the answer, the correct option would be C, which says the sprite will spin and move at the same time. The sprite will be spinning and be moving at the same time. Studying the code explains better what option C says. So when we click on run, we see what happens. Beautiful. Ta-da! Nice one. Okay, now let's move on to the next level. Let's see what we've got there. Here we are going to, they said, do this, always read the instructions first before you proceed. Do this, make a sprite, set the sprite size. Okay, quickly. First of all, remember to make a new sprite, we have to drag in the make a new sprite block, which is already here, as you can see. The first thing we need to do, then what we need to do next is to, as you can see, as I'm working out, you drag in the block where you can change the size of the sprite. But before then, you have to change the sprite. We are going to change the sprite in the block. Good. As you can see, the number has just been changed. Then we have however you want the sprite to be, how big or how small you want the sprite to be, you can change it in the box, in the blue box where you have the size, the numbers for the size. So interchanging, when you put the blue box up, set the size of the sprite, the program won't run. So the block, which is the blue block carrying the size of the sprite, has to be under the make a new sprite block. So after making a new sprite block, you click on run, and here we have it. Beautiful. Nice one. Okay, now we move on to proceed to the next one. Here we have, let's read the instruction. Events makes it easy to change what happens over time as your program runs. We are going to use the time event block to change the sprite action after a particular time has passed. Now we are going to add, from the instruction we are told above, they said add a 3-second block to your workspace. Then we are going to connect a sprite begin block to the event. Now just watch me as we work on it quickly. We are going to add the time block under the behavior. Then we are going to add another behavior block to tell us after a particular time the sprite begins the other behavior, the second behavior. Now we can see, okay, I'm sure you are following me, kids. Now I'm going to click on the behavior to add the behavior that the sprite is going to display after the 3 seconds. Okay, that sprite begins. Beautiful. Moving where not, right? Now we are going to click on run. Okay, beautiful. I'm sure you got that now. That's lovely. Okay, now let's proceed to the next level. I'm sure you are having fun learning this key. This is interesting. Now what are we doing here? Events make it possible to create programs that are interactive. Now we're going to use the when pressed block, event block, to change the sprite size, position, or rotation by pressing a key. Beautiful. Now we are going to drag the block into the workspace area, as you can see. Then we are going to change either the sprite size, the rotation, or the location as well, or position. That is same thing. Okay, now quickly I'm sure you are following me. When pressed, we are programming what happens when we press the arrow key. You can see the 4 arrow keys under the play area. You can see the 4 arrow keys under the play area. That is the keys that are under the run button. So we are going to first of all program what happens with our code when you press on the button, any of the buttons, then what you have programmed will what happen. Okay, now when press the down key, what happens? We change the sprite size. The sprite size will be changed. So we are going to change the sprite size, as you can see in the. Okay, first of all, I'm changing the sprite. I change the sprite, and now click on the arrow key. Now clicking on the arrow key increases the sprite, as you can see. That's lovely. Now let's move on to the next one. Here we have switching behaviors. If you want to switch behaviors from one sprite to another, you have to stop the old behavior and begin a new behavior at the same time. You can use a new block to stop the behavior, the current behavior of the sprite. Now taking a look at what we have already in the workspace area, we are going to work with this and switch behavior from one sprite to another. Now we're going to run the code and see what happens. We're going to be adding behaviors at each of the gaps and the begin block to make the sprite change its behavior at a particular time interval, the time interval we have there. So here I'm going to add what the sprite is going to do, the behavior. I add up to the other one, then we run, and you see the sprite changes behavior at interval. Beautiful. Now you will proceed to complete the other puzzles. On the Code Studio, your work will be assessed. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in my next lesson. Bye.